So my kids have discovered Roblox, and instead of playing in the room where there's two giant TVs with two Xboxes set up right next to each other, because we have that, they have decided that they're going to play one upstairs and one downstairs so they can talk to each other on the headsets. They're having a great time, but they're also very loud on the headsets. So you might hear them through this video. And that has nothing whatsoever to do with today's pour, just a random bit of my life. And before I tell you about today's pour, hello, I'm Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. How's it going, sudsers? Welcome back to the channel. You are at Soap and Clay, where we make all the soapy things. And today we are kind of making the soapy things, actually. It's a bit of a hybrid product. So today we are doing emulsified sugar scrubs. Now these are the new sugar scrubs for the fall line, and they are all foodie themed. So you know I'm here for it. And this particular one that we're doing today is a chocolate chip cookie dough emulsified sugar scrub. Now we've done sugar scrubs on the channel before. I think we did like a basic solid scrub and maybe the scrubby. No. And this one is a little bit different. So this is actually emulsifying the oils in the actual solution itself, sort of like a lotion. So you have a nice stable emulsified solution that you can then put your sugar in to do, you know, your scrubalicious awesomeness. Yeah, so it's actually a really great way to make a sugar scrub. You're left nice and moisturized, but not sticky or not greasy, and you have your exfoliation like nobody's business. And I am going to show you how that's all done today. So let's go. All right, emulsified sugar scrubs. They're awesome. Let's talk about what goes into this guy. So first we have the Candelilla wax and the cocoa butter. That is 0.7 ounces of both, and then we have the shea butter that's going into this, also 0.7 ounces, and then the e-wax, 1 ounce of that, and then we're going to put in 3.4 ounces total of oils. Now for this one, we are doing an apricot and an avocado, because both are awesome. Now while that is melting down, I'm going to measure out my sugar. I'm using a brown sugar for this. Brown sugar is a finer grain sugar than castor, and that's great for overall body care, but normally if I'm going to do like face care, for example, we use a castor sugar. Did I actually say it's finer grain than castor? It's not finer grain than castor, it's finer grain than regular white granulated. And also with this guy, we are going to use this cool kind of invention thing that we've done. So it's like part jelly soap and part melt and pour. And so you still get the kind of gelatinous consistency that you would with the jelly soap, but also it's, I don't know, it's firmer, I guess, than a regular jelly soap because of the melt and pour addition. So it's not as fragile, if that makes sense. And we're going to use that to mimic the like chocolate chunks in this emulsified sugar scrub, because this particular one is scented with a delightful blend that smells like chocolate chip cookie dough, which, I mean, how can you go wrong? Now, the reason for the oil selection that I had earlier is because I want it to be like a really nourishing oil, right, with the avocado, but I don't want it to be overly slimy. And so the apricot actually helps balance out the slow penetration of the avocado and yields a really nice scrub that leaves you really well moisturized, but not sticky. You can still shave your legs afterwards. And see, that's what I mean by the consistency of the jelly soap. It's still squishy, so that's super cool. And I love this. The jelly soap in and of itself, very, like I said, it's very fragile, right? So it can tear apart kind of easily, and it has a faster like dissolve rate than this does. So I wanted to include this in this to, I mean, add the cool chocolate chunks in it, but also to give a bubble and a cleanse to it, as well as, you know, in addition to rather the sugar scrub, because you want to be cleansed and sort of wick away any extra moisture in a sugar scrub. So again, you can shave your legs afterwards, which is my primary focus whenever I am making a scrub of any kind. If I cannot shave my legs directly after exfoliating, I'm not having it. I am not here for that. But this one definitely allows me to do just that, so I love it. Now everything has been prepped and ready to go. Everything is melted down, and we are ready for the pour and all that jazz. Okay, now everything has been melted down, and we are then going to use the stick blender to really break up the e-wax and the fatty acids in the oils and butters that we have going on here to make sure that everything, you know, emulsifies. So what we're going for is kind of like a lotion. This is very similar to how you make a lotion, honestly, in that you are using mechanical force, essentially, to help these different, you know, structures break down and form a new solution. And the biggest difference between an emulsified sugar scrub and, like, for example, the sugar scrub, the solid sugar scrub that I showed you, which was primarily a soap base that had, you know, soap and or exfoliant and a little bit of oil in it. The biggest difference between that and something like this is, again, it is going to create a new solution that the sugars can then sort of be suspended inside without separating. So you're going to have essentially a nice moisturizing experience as well as getting your exfoliation, which is great. And I mix this for around 2 minutes in total for the emulsification process. And once I, you know, mix it, I then check the temperature, and I do not add the sugars into this blend until the temperature is at least below 130 degrees. And the reason for that is the sugars that I use, be it caster sugar or regular granulated sugar or, you know, brown sugar in this case, they have a melting point between like 140 and 180. And so we want to keep everything, we want to make sure that the liquid solution is not so hot that it's going to melt all of the brown sugar that you're putting into it, because, you know, then you're not getting the exfoliating bits from the sugar, and it's just a sugary bar of oil and butters, really, and that's lame. And I do a second emulsification for about another minute, so it's not as long as I do the mixing of like liquid lotions. It's about half the time, but it is something that I definitely still do. I have heard that you can just not do the emulsification bit, and just the nature of melting down the butters and the oils with the e-wax will be enough, and I don't believe that. I don't see how that could possibly work, but you know, maybe if somebody has done that, then you know, let me know in the comments and show me your results, because that would be awesome. But by nature of what an e-wax does with oils and butters, just knowing what the purpose is, you know, like in a chemical compound, I don't see that working. But, you know, whatever, that's great. Now that it has been mixed up for another minute or so, I am just going to town on the length of all of this, really, which is, I really want to make sure that this is well emulsified. That's awesome. But once it's been fully mixed up and the temperature has dropped below that 130 mark, I will then be adding in the brown sugar, and using the same stick, I will continue to mix it up with the stick to work all the brown sugar into the solution. And see, we're there at 128 degrees. That is totally good. We are good to go with that. And this is adorable, actually, just sprinkling in a little bit and then kind of, yeah, I don't do this like normally. I'm trying to be fancy or put on airs for you because this is not how I do it. I don't, everybody, when I'm in like soap classes, right, I can always tell the difference between like a real baker and somebody who is not and does not care. And I am definitely the person that is not and does not care, because real bakers will put in a little bit at a time, or they will drizzle their liquid into their solid, their dry ingredients, and whatever. But people who don't super care about that, they'll just dump and go. See, there you go. That's me. And for this particular endeavor, I mean, I don't recommend this for your, haute cuisine baking skills or whatever, but for this particular endeavor, yeah, just dump and go. And you just want to mix it up until all the sugar has been well incorporated into the batch. And then you're going to put I'm going to put the chocolate chunks into this nice fluid solution here and get ready to pour it into the containers. Now, the cool thing about an emulsified sugar scrub is that it is ready within a few hours, which is great, because so many of my products, they have the saponification time, which is, 1 to 2 days, and then they have the cure time, which is anywhere from a few days to, a few months, really. And with this is not so. It's ready within a few hours. As soon as it's firm, it's good to go, and that's awesome. Now, did I mention that the scent blend is chocolate chip cookie dough, and that's phenomenal? Does that not look like a cool Nutella-based chocolate chip cookie dough? It's so good, and the scent blend is so dead on. Like, I was really proud of this one. This was really good, and it's delightful. I actually took one of these home to use, to keep for myself after making this. Now, this is for the fall line, right? So we'll have 4 different emulsified sugar scrubs in foodie scents. And I wouldn't say this is the one that I'm the most excited about, but it's definitely amazing. Like, it smells so good. And I did the, exfoliation thing with this at home, and Mr. Soap and Clay came home, a few hours later and was like, "Ooh, what's that? Did you bake?" And yeah, it's a guy thing. They like things that smell like vanilla, really. So he appreciated it, and that's great. And I appreciate what it did to my skin. But now this is going to firm up, and then we're going to test it on my skin. Okay, so it's a few hours later, and these have firmed up really well. See, they sit very nicely in there. Love that. It's so good. And we are going to test this, and it wouldn't be me and my channel if I didn't do weird testing on my soap table instead of going to a sink. I have to move the whole setup if I do that, and that's just annoying. So we'll just test on my arm. I have some water out to, like I just got my skin wet, like we're in the shower and doing the things. And yep, just a little goes a very long way. That's actually enough to do both of my arms and, shoulders and all that jazz. But look how beautiful that sort of lathers up. It's nice creamy lather, so you're getting the cleansing along with the exfoliation and the skin softening. It is just delightful, and I love it. I seriously love these emulsified sugar scrubs so much. The moisture content of them, it's just great. And this is one of the cool products that you don't actually need a preservative in, because there's no water. So that's super awesome. A lot of body products you need a preservative. Not so with an emulsified sugar scrub. So, and look at yeah, that's nice. Look at the difference left to right. It's beautiful. And that is a day 148, an emulsified sugar scrub. That is the chocolate chip cookie dough, and it smells so good.
Oh my gosh, they're so loud. They won't stop. They won't stop. They don't know how to wear the headsets, and whatever. So there are the emulsified sugar scrubs, and yeah, these ones smell good enough to eat. So you have the awesome like exfoliating power with the sugar and everything in that, but you also have this great kind of like creamy lather that comes along with it too. And that's because we, put in to mimic the chocolate chunks in the chocolate chip cookie dough, the, soap jelly with the melt and pour combination. They're absolutely great. And I love these sugar scrubs. I'm very excited to add these to the line for the fall. Again, we have 4 varieties. They're all foodie themed and they're all delightful, good enough to eat. I guess I'm not a kitchen, so I don't keep the same standards of just don't eat it. And if you are interested in getting any of these emulsified sugar scrubs, you can totally get them on the website. You can find them at soapandclay.com. If you are interested in more soapy antics, subscribe to the channel. See what else we have in store for the fall line. This is the time of the year where things get really intense and really crazy and the ridiculousness comes out because we're prepping for fall and then for Christmas and then it's all, so subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates. And for those of you who have been here and are subscribed and continue to be here, thank you so much. I really appreciate you sticking around for another round of 365 days of soap. It's been a fun one for me today. I hope it was a fun one for you, and I will see you guys all tomorrow.